Hi everyone, this is Mallory Flowers on behalf of Jennifer Schaus and Associates. We are coming to you live from Washington, D.C., and welcome to our Webinar Wednesday series. Our webinars are held every Wednesday in 2018 at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and our speakers range from accountants to attorneys and other industry professionals. The full schedule for the rest of the year is on our website underneath the webinar tab. In the interest of time, we do not take questions, but our speaker's contact info was posted on the last slide. So if you do have questions, please contact the speaker directly. The recordings are also posted on our website underneath the archived webinar tab, as well as on our YouTube channel. And this is just a quick blurb about us. Jennifer Schaus and Associates is based in downtown Washington, D.C., and we help both product and service companies with federal contracting. Our clients are domestic and foreign, defense contractors, and civilians. Our services range from market analysis reports to contract vehicles, including the GSA schedule. We can also help you with proposal writing and post-award contract administration. More information about our services and upcoming events can be found on our website. And we have some background information here about our speaker today, which is Jim Bender. You can always go back and take a look at this. All right, we're going to go ahead and dig into today's presentation, which is how to market your business to the federal government and win more contracts. And our speaker is Jim Bender. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Well, thanks so much, Mallory. It's great to be here. I'm a big fan of Jennifer Schaus and Webinar Wednesdays, and I'm excited to be the speaker today. As Mallory alluded to, I help people win more business from the federal government and foundations. I work with small and medium-sized organizations that have a great product or service, but lack the infrastructure to figure out who wants to buy it, how to find those buyers, and how to close the sale. I helped lead a federal communications shop that grew from $400,000 to $20 million in revenue over a 20-year period. I've worked with large contractors such as Booz Allen Hamilton to develop a capture management strategy and lead proposal efforts that met with a tripling of revenue in 1 year. And I've also successfully led foundation proposals for organizations for funding from organizations such as the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, Kaiser Permanente, and the Patient-Centered Outcome Research Institute. So what I'm going to present today is based on my recently released book, which you can see the cover of right here on this slide, 10 Steps to Winning More Government Money for Your Business. And as a participant in this webinar, I'm going to offer you a discount on my book, which is available on my website, and I'll talk about that later on. Next slide, please. So here you can see the 10 chapters in my book. I'm going to focus on the left-hand side of this slide. That is being clear about your brand proposition, finding the buyers for what you're selling, find out how they buy your service or product, and be there, reaching out to them, and finding partners for winning. I'll really be skimming over this content because to really dig into it thoroughly would require a lot more time than we have today, but I can give you an idea of the high points, and we can talk afterwards if you want to know more about it. I've found that most federal contractors, especially small ones, have a real hard time defining why they're special. And it's hard to be memorable when you aren't able to explain to somebody quickly and succinctly and compellingly why you're special and you're different from other contractors. Then building on that unique selling proposition, how to turn it into successful business. In later chapters of the book, I discuss building up a pipeline, making the case for your offer and a proposal, pricing strategies, and so forth. But we won't be getting that today. Next slide, please. So as I said, this is really something that I think a lot of contractors struggle with, to be clear about your brand proposition. And brand proposition we're very familiar with for brands like Nike or Starbucks, but your company and you as an individual need to know what makes you special in the world, especially against your competition. Those that are able to define and succinctly explain to potential customers and partners what makes them unique are going to be more successful. So the first aspect is you do something. You have a methodology or technology that you're selling that people need. It could be janitorial services, meeting planning, public relations, or cybersecurity. I know that you're a smart guy or gal and you can figure out how to do almost anything, especially if someone's paying you to do it. But what do you do best? Not what can you do, but what is it that you do better than others? What does your company excel at? And in what capacity and context do you do it? This is sometimes can be harder than what you think because we want to think broad. Because I can do all sorts of things. But if you are everything to everybody, you're nothing to everybody because nobody can remember what is special about you. Second, I want you to think about how you do it. So I have a background in public relations, and if I go to a procurement website and I put in 541820, the NAICS code for public relations agencies, thousands of agencies will come out of there. But there's something special about every single one of them. And some of it has to do with how they do it. Some agencies are really good at responding on a dime, to being very responsive to specific client needs and changing needs, and they have the capacity to meet changing needs quickly. Others are much better at a long-term approach to, say, a communication campaign or any services, and they're more the dependable one, and they'll struggle with that. Depending on the client needs, both may be desirable. You have to decide which one you are due. Some contractors are wildly creative and out of the box. Others are just good at running a straight public affairs campaign. Then, once you define how you do it and how you deliver your service, you need to think about your agency understanding. Nothing could be more important in federal work than understanding the agency, because every agency is different, and even if they're not all that different, they think they're different, and you have to be able to convince them that you understand why they are completely different from everyone else. Can you convince the client that you understand their mindset? I work with a bunch of agencies in health and human services. CDC is driven by epidemiologists. You need to be able to prove that the science supports whatever you're saying. While the Center for Medicaid Services, Medicare and Medicaid Services, and FDA are driven by lawyers. So any communications that you have to produce for them has to go through endless reviews by people from a legal standpoint. And what comes back may not be all that compelling, but it's legally compliant. NIH is about a scientist. Do you understand their lingo and culture? Can you prove to them that you understand it? Do you know how the Army is different from the Air Force? Do you understand their external threats and opportunities right now? What are they trying to convince Congress to get the next big chunk of funding? What do you know about the agency's authorizing legislation? Do you know what the latest GAO report on the agency said? Because Government Accounting Office reports have a tendency to really focus the mindset of leadership and everybody down the road. And if there's identified problems in that report that you can solve, you're going to get a hearing. So apart from methodology, technology expertise, you have to have some expertise in certain subject areas. Think things like Medicare rules, fish farming, veteran suicide. Perhaps you're experts in understanding the agency stakeholders, like their grantees, the VA's health clinics, or agricultural extension agents. This can be really critical if these people are important to accomplishing the mission of the agency, and you have an inside track with them, either through a partner or you just have the connections, or you used to be working in VA health clinic and you understand the language. This can also extend to cultural competence, especially in communications, working with special populations. So once you have an idea of your unique selling proposition, your brand proposition, write it down. Write it down and test it. Don't just come up with it with you and your best friend in a room and then start putting it on your marketing materials and website. You have to go out and find representatives of the client agency or partners or people who are going to buy your services and try out your unique selling proposition with them. because no matter how smart you are and how much you think you know how they think, they're going to find things wrong with it and find ways to refine it and keep refining it until you feel comfortable delivering it smoothly and convincingly. Next slide, please. So next, I need you to think about the problems that you solve. Think about your broad brand proposition and how your unique offering is now going to solve a problem that somebody with money who's going to buy your services needs solved. People do not generally buy things because of their attributes, but they buy them because they solve a problem or meet a need in their lives. In marketing, we think about the idea of features versus benefits. Features describe a product, but they don't describe how it benefits the person who's spending the money on it. So for instance, on a car, are you more likely to convince somebody to buy a car because it has a 200 horsepower engine, or because it goes from 0 to 60 in 6 seconds so you can get into traffic faster on the highway? Yeah, in a similar way, you have to explain how your company solves real problems that you know clients have. If I have a struggle to get on the beltway in heavy traffic, this might be what I need. But if I need a car that's cheap to operate, I might want the 1.6 liter engine that gets 40 miles per gallon on the highway. Don't try to offer everything to everybody. You're either one or the other. So be careful describing benefits if they matter to you and not to the customer, and make sure you're talking to the right customer who appreciates the benefits you have to offer. For instance, I see some people write up things in capability statements that say things like, we use a world-class methodology to make sure we write the best code possible for your solution. Well, that's great, but what does it really mean? What if you say, we use Git and Bitbucket to streamline the process of our collaboration on our coding team to reduce staff utilization on a project, which results in fewer bugs in the code to be worked out? This tells me why your methodology provides a benefit to me. Things are going to happen faster. There's going to be less aggravation with crummy code, and it's going to cost me less money. Make sure you explain when you're talking about why your company is so great, how it benefits the people who've got the money. Next, you got to prove it with data, not adjectives or antidotes. Look, I'm a writer. I'm a communications guy. I know how to string together exemplary and world-class and all those great flowery adjectives that don't convince anybody. They make for nice reading, but when it comes at the end of the day, the evaluation panel and the client is going to want to be convinced with data. So so you might say we offer a unique approach to recruiting and onboarding qualified personnel to meet challenging requirements. Okay, that might be true, but can you prove it? Another way to say this would be for Agency A, we onboarded 85 security cleared IT and cybersecurity staff in under 4 weeks. We're performing in the second year of a 4-year contract with Agency B to onboard several hundred engineering staff in up to 7 countries. Our work to date has been received the ratings of excellent. You should always be looking for data to back up your statements. Proof statements that are convincing to the people who've got the money. Make sure you know who you're talking to, what their pain points are, and their hot buttons are. It's going to be different for different agencies, and it's going to be different people within the agency. The contracting officer is going to want to see different things from you than the technical representative or even the counterpart project staff that's actually running the project. You need to know what each one of them wants to see and how you're going to appeal to each one of them. That's different from being everything to everyone, but because it's about understanding what each person in the decision process needs to hear from you in order to be convinced they can take a chance with you. Finally, remember that brevity is extremely important. In this age of information inundation and pandemic attention deficit, you have to make your point fast, compellingly, and then shut up. Wait for them to ask for more so you know what to offer next. That takes care of this slide. Let's move to the next one, please. Okay, so you figured out what makes you unique. You've converted into a brand proposition that's compelling. You've got it tailored. You've got your pain points identified, and you've got benefits that explain how you address those pain points. Now it's time to find somebody to buy your stuff. now you got to, so this is something that all small contractors, and the large ones for that matter, struggle with. They always say it's so hard to get the attention of government employers and buyers. And we need to have compassion on them, our federal brothers and sisters. Repeated head cuts at their agencies make it much harder for them to meet with potential vendors. But there are ways to get in there because they need vendors more than ever to accomplish their mission because they have less internal resources. First, you have to focus your efforts. Don't try to focus 20% of your time on 5 different agencies. So you have to learn and infiltrate each one of them. Instead, why not focus 50% of your time on 2 agencies that you can get to know really well and really push hard to get access to the decision makers in there. Databases are going to be key here. The databases that we all know about, FedBizOps, Federal Procurement Database Next Generation, SAM.gov, and the proprietary databases like GovWin, GovPurchase, and EasyGovOps. All of these have invaluable data in them, and you got to try them all out and see which one meets your needs in terms of how much you can afford to spend and how easy it is to get the data out of there. You want to look for the people who buy your NAICS codes. What agencies, what offices are they in? Find out how they buy. Do they buy through the GSA? Jennifer will tell you this all the time. Before you spend a lot of money getting on the GSA schedule, make sure you know which agencies you're accessing and whether they buy through the GSA schedule. Because if they don't, you're just wasting your time and money with Jennifer, who does a great job, but why do you want to get on the schedule and then get no revenue through it? Do they buy through the GSA schedule or through an agency mechanism like an IDIQ, blanket purchase order? Simplified acquisitions are a great way to go for small businesses and to get some capabilities. Or do they go with full and open competition contracts? What are the set-asides they use? Set-asides don't change over time without a good reason. So if a piece of work came out as an 8A set-aside, the agency is going to need a good reason to change that because they have goals that they need to meet. And if they don't meet it on this procurement, they're going to have to make up for it somewhere else or explain to the Small Business Administration why they're not meeting their goal. Set-asides are important. Set-asides will not win you work, but I don't want to go there today because that's another presentation. So, but the set-asides are the way you're going to target your efforts to find upcoming opportunities and identify partners that have the set-asides you don't have that can get in there. Who else is working in the offices of interest? They may be competitors. They may be possible partners. Depending on what your offering is and how different it is, maybe some of the big dogs might want you to work on their team to do something that they can't do or they just don't want to do, or because they can't do it at the same price point as you or to the same level of quality that you can do it because of your unique selling proposition you worked out earlier. So do you need to access work that goes through a mechanism? Take a look at who is winning on those mechanisms. The data are out there. Sometimes you can't get them on the plain vanilla GovWin subscription because they don't go down into the mechanisms, but there's certainly ways on FPDS to get at it and some of the other lower priced options that I named before. Who's winning on those mechanisms? Who's losing? The winners, of course, if you can convince them that you've got something they need, could be good teammates. But I was very successful when I was working with a major contractor, and I reached out to the losers because I knew I didn't have much to offer to the winners. But I knew I could win proposals for the ones who at year 5 on the mechanism hadn't won $1 yet. And over a year, I was able to win 4 out of 6 proposals on that mechanism through large business primes who had never won anything before because I knew how to win it. So you need to think that through. If you're really good, maybe you can make a loser into a winner. Once you identify those offices and even the opportunities, you can dig deeper. You can look up the past RFPs and download them and check out the evaluation criteria. Government people are overworked and don't like to make up new RFPs. If they can just repurpose the old one and make it work, they're going to do it. And even if they don't repurpose it, it gives you an idea of what they were thinking before. things change slowly in the federal government. Okay, you're going to continue your agency and office intelligence gathering and research through the trade pubs, through the social media, and through conference presentations. You'll hear a lot about who's winning, what they're thinking about, what they're good at, what they're not so good at. You'll even have federal decision makers who often be presenters or have active social media accounts. And if you are active in social media, this can be a good way to get introduced to them. Next slide, please. Finally, when you know who you want to target, it's time to reach out to them. Think about your marketing plan in terms of a funnel, broad at the top. At the top of the funnel, you're attracting people who barely know you, large number of people with a little information about your company and what it does to get them more engaged and more interested. Then you need to continue to feed them information, free stuff, free intelligence and information about how you do things, and best practices in the industry to get them more involved and to subscribe to your newsletter or to download something, or just even to make a mental note that you exist and may meet a need in the future. You must have a compelling and informative website that describes who you are, your unique selling proposition, and what makes you different. It provides proof for your claims about your capabilities. I've seen so many bad government contractor websites, and it doesn't have to be. It's really easy to put up a good website if you put a little bit of thought into it and a minimal amount of money. It's not that much. You need to be specific about what you do. I see so many small businesses that say, we do IT, project management, business redesign, marketing communications, health staffing, and janitorial services. And oh, by the way, we're expanding into the guided missiles next month. Okay, I'm joking about the last thing. But there are a lot of these 8A firms that are out there that haven't been in existence for 5 years, and they claim to do just about anything. Well, when I'm looking at their website, I'm saying, well, you do everything, but what do you really do? What are you really good at? Do you really want to try to be everything to everybody? Do you just want to do anything that somebody will give you a check for? Or do you want to really focus on your sweet spot and do that? The website should communicate that. A website that says you do everything is not memorable, because I have no reason to remember you if you say, well, I can do everything from veterinarian services to, you redesign your website. Don't write about everything you could do. Write about what you really do well and convince the person who has a need that you might just be the company that can meet that need. Okay, once you have that website, I think the website is critical. If you think about whenever you buy something, you always go online and tool around to find out more about either the service provider or the product that you're buying before you actually make a buying decision. You're not going to get people to buy stuff just by visiting your website, but it's a necessary condition to get them along the marketing funnel. Purpose is not to close deals, but increase awareness of your brand and answer basic questions about your company who are marginally connected that you might want to market to later. So these other marketing tactics get them further down the funnel and closer to being a buyer. Email campaigns, start generating email lists, sign up for MailChimp or one of those other marketing accounts, and start collecting your email addresses and stay in regular contact, providing them information, not providing them services to buy, but providing them information that convinces them that you are good at what you say you do. Get active in social media, on the trades. I write free articles for all kinds of trade organizations so that my name is out there, so that when you call and leave a message on them, they'll say, oh, Jim Bender, I read his blog post last week. He knows what he's doing. I'll give him a call back. That's the point of all this. Your OSTBUs are going to be a big help. They're going to help you. That's the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization. Your conferences, your industry days, they're going to help you to get to that golden meeting on the phone, or even better, that face-to-face meeting with the client and a couple of his staff members to present your capabilities deck and to hear about more specifically about their specific problems and upcoming procurements. Give away freebies and discounts. That's the way you make friends. and that's the way things work in the digital world. People expect stuff for free. It's not like the old days. And if we had enough time, I'd go into the partner strategy. Next slide, please. But we don't, so I'll just read this slide to you. But thinking about it, the partners, the friends you're going to make to access the agencies and the work that you want to access is really critical. And thinking about what you have to offer them, whether you're going to prime or sub with them, who's going to take the lead, when is it best to be a sub, when is it best to go all in and write the big part of it, and how do you develop experience working together? So Mallory, that's about all I got to say today. Oh, except the next slide, I want to talk about my book. Oh, I see. Okay, yes, you've got the discount code on there. Yeah, so I want you to go take a look at my book. It's $6.95 on the website, but if you use this discount code, SCHAUS, Shouse at checkout, I'll give it to you for $5 plus shipping, the print version of the book. There's my phone number, my email address, and my website address. Thanks, Mallory, for this opportunity, and I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Jim. That was a lot of great information, and thank you for sharing your time with us today, and thank you for everybody who joined us. If you have any questions for Jim, please contact him directly with the contact information you see on your screen. And at 12:30, we are covering opt-in consent rules under new data privacy laws. So this concludes our webinar. Thank you, everybody.